5 of us took that trip together, and for a long time afterward, I tried to convince myself it was nothing more than bad timing and nerves. That explanation didn't last. The place was a small mountain resort, privately owned, tucked far off a service road that barely showed up on GPS. One of my friends found it while scrolling late one night. Cheap, good reviews, quiet. The owner mentioned on the phone that it was the off-season and that most of the cabins stayed closed during the week. That should have reassured us. When we arrived late in the afternoon, the parking lot was empty. No other cars, no lights in the neighboring cabins. Just one long gravel lot stretching toward the tree line. The cottage itself was nicer than we expected. Wood-paneled walls, a stone fireplace, and wide windows looking out over rolling hills. Everything smelled faintly of pine and old dust, like the place had been aired out after sitting unused for a while. We dropped our bags and relaxed. I lay down on the couch for a bit while the others unpacked. Later, we cooked together. Simple food, nothing special, but it tasted better than it had any right to after the drive. Behind one of the maintenance sheds, someone found an old basketball hoop bolted to a warped wooden pole. The backboard was cracked, the net half gone, but it worked. We played until our lungs burned, laughing and shoving each other like we didn't have responsibilities waiting back home. Night fell fast. Out there, the sky didn't glow the way it does near cities. The moon was low and bright, sharp enough to cast clear shadows across the ground. Someone suggested a short walk through the hills. There was a loop trail marked near the tree line. Nothing intense, just something to stretch our legs. One friend stayed behind. He said his knees were killing him and he wanted to rest. None of us argued. We told him we wouldn't be long. The trail started wide and pale, covered in chalky gravel that reflected the moonlight. The kind of ground where every step showed clearly. Every shadow, too. At first it felt peaceful. The air was cool. No wind, no insects. Just our footsteps and the quiet hum you get when everything else has gone still. A few minutes in, I noticed we'd stopped joking. No one pointed it out, but our voices had dropped naturally, like we were all listening for something we couldn't identify. That's when I saw the dog. It wasn't aggressive. Medium-sized, dark fur moving carefully behind us. Whenever we stopped, it stopped. When we walked, it followed, never getting closer, never falling too far back. Someone joked that it was probably a stray from a nearby cabin. We ignored it and kept going. The trail opened into a small clearing. At the far edge stood a massive tree, older than the others, its trunk thick and twisted, bark peeling in long gray strips. The trail curved around it instead of passing close, like someone had intentionally designed it that way. The dog stopped at the edge of the clearing. It didn't cross. We passed the tree, finishing the loop, and when I glanced back, the dog was still there, sitting, staring directly at the trunk like it was waiting. None of us said anything. On the way back, the air felt colder. The moon seemed brighter, bleaching the gravel almost white. We heard barking before we reached the clearing again. 3 dogs stood in front of the tree this time. They were shoulder to shoulder, all facing the trunk, not us. Their barking wasn't frantic. It came in steady bursts, controlled and repetitive, like signals. One of my friends stopped abruptly. "Turn around," he said. We laughed at first. Nervous laughs. "What's your problem?" someone asked. He didn't answer. He just pointed down. Our shadows stretched long and warped across the pale gravel, sharp and unmistakable under the moon. The dogs had none. Not faint ones. Not broken ones. Nothing touched the ground beneath them. For a moment, no one spoke. Then one of the dogs stopped barking. The others followed. Every instinct in my body screamed at me not to run, but we did anyway. We backed away first, then turned, gravel slipping under our shoes as we sprinted down the trail. None of us looked back. We slammed the cottage door behind us and locked it. Every light stayed on. We stood there listening. Nothing followed. That night, the resort felt too big for just 5 people. Every window looked out onto darkness. Every closed cabin felt like it was watching us. Sometime after midnight, I woke up to howling. Not close, not far, everywhere. The sound rolled through the hills, overlapping, circling the resort like a moving perimeter. It rose and fell, but never stopped completely. It didn't feel wild. It felt organized. I stayed in bed, staring at the ceiling, afraid that if I looked out the window, I'd see shapes just beyond the light. None of us slept after that. At dawn, we packed without talking. We didn't eat. As the car pulled away, I looked back toward the trail entrance one last time. The tree was visible from the road. So was the ground around it. The gravel there was torn up in deep arcs, as if something heavy had been dragged in slow circles again and again. We didn't stop to look closer,